Hi everyone, welcome to your maths lesson for today. If you can't remember, my name is Mrs. Harris. I was with you in your last lesson and I gave you a little bit of a challenge, something to do in between last lesson and this lesson. Let's see how you got on with it. Yes, this was our problem yesterday that I left you with. And you had to represent this sentence with pictures, maybe a bar model, but most importantly, you had to write the equations. Let me just read the sentence to you. The product of 7 and 2 is 14. Go on, say it with me. The product of 7 and 2 is 14. What's the product? Yeah, it's 14. What are my two factors? Yeah, 7 and 2. I had a go at this as well. And I looked around my house to see what things I could find that come in twos, because 2 is a factor, and that I had 7 lots of. Well, I had 7 lots of eyes in my house. And eyes come in pairs, come in twos. 1 lot of 2, 2 lots of 2, 3 lots of 2, ooh, they're mine, 4 lots of 2, 5 lots of 2, 6 lots of 2, 7 lots of 2. 7 is a factor, 2 is a factor, and the product is 14. Did you notice? Not all the eyes there are human. My cat and dog are there as well. I also used some Numicon with my product being 14 and my 7 groups of 2. It looks a bit like a bar model, doesn't it? I found some shoes. They come in twos, they come in pairs. And I knew 2 was a factor, and I found 7 lots of them. So here I have the product of 7 and 2 as 14. Just like the sentence. I drew a bar model with my 14 as the product and my 7 lots of 2's underneath. My factors, 7 and 2. Do you remember last time we also used counters and the counters were blank? So I used them again and I gave them all the value of 2. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. So even though they didn't have any value written on them, we'd given them a value and that value was 2. But I'm missing something that's really important. I'm missing them equations. Here's my first one with my factor, product. And then I've got one with my product, factor. 7 times 2 equals 14. The product of 14 is equal to 7 times 2. Wow, what a lot of representations I got from just one sentence. I'd love to see how you got on. Maybe you can get your grown-ups to share some of your pictures with us. Oh, more shoes. Looks like a shoe shop. People buy shoes in pairs, don't they? In twos. And here are our shoes in pairs, in groups of 2s. I wonder if we could pretend that people are coming to buy the shoes and they take a pair at a time. I think to do this, we're going to need to count back in 2s. I know you're really good at counting forwards in 2s, so let's just practice our counting backwards in 2s quickly. Let's start at 6 because we've got 6 shoes all together. 6, 4, 2, 0. Do it with me. 6, 4, 2, 0. Let's do it quicker. 6, 4, 2, 0. Your turn now. Brilliant. Well, if I circle this 6, we've got all the information we need to write our first multiplication expression. We've got the product, 6. We've got our factors, 3 and 2. Do you think you could have a quick go at writing the equation for me? Fantastic. Let me show you what I got. I got 3 times 2 equals 6. 3 from the number of groups, 2 from the number in each group, and 6, because 6 is the product of 3 times 2, we have 6 shoes all together. But someone's going to come and take a pair of shoes. Hopefully they'll buy them, not take them. So our 6 goes to 4. A pair of our shoes go away, and we need to write the new expression. Don't forget your product and your factors, and have a go yourself. This is what I wrote. I've got my factors. I've got 2 lots of 2, 2 groups of 2. And I've got my product, all the shoes I've got together, as being 4. But then someone comes to buy some more shoes. And now our product is just 2. We've got 1 group of 2. So we know our factors and we know our product. Can you write me the equation? Wow, that was quick. I wrote 1 times 4. Not 1 times 4. I wrote 1 times 2 equals 2. Factor, factor, product. But then someone's going to come and buy that lovely purpley pink pair of shoes. And I'll have 0 shoes left in the shop. But I can still write a multiplication equation for this. Just have a little go. Okay, let me give you a hand. We know that the product is 0. We've got 0 shoes. In fact, we've got 0 groups. So we know one of the factors, 0. We know the product, 0, but we're missing the other factor. What were our groups of? Yes, I know there were shoes. How many shoes in a group? 2. So we've got our factors, 0 and 2. We've got 0 groups of 2. And the product of 0 times 2 is 0. So this is what I wrote. 0 times 2 equals 0. Well done if you got that. If you didn't, just have a look at where you think I got these numbers from. But don't worry, we'll do some more work on this. This is my 2p purse. I only keep 2p coins in here. In here, can you see? I have 5 of them. I have 5 2p coins in my purse. I've got 5 of them and they're 2p coins. My factors must be, 5 and 2. 5 because there are 5 groups of 2, and the 2 because each of our groups is worth 2. So my expression has factor times factor, 5 times 2, but I want to make it into an equation. I want to know the product, so I'm going to put equals, what is 5 lots of 2? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Maybe you just knew. Our product is 10. Oh, I've only got 4 2p coins in this 2p purse. So I have 4 as a factor and 2 as a factor. I wonder what my product is. Oh, my product is 8. How did you know that? That's right, because 4 times 2 is 8. We could count in twos, but maybe you just knew. I could say the product is equal to factor times factor. 8 is equal to 4 times 2. You're getting really good at this. This time, my 2p coins, they look like they're spots on a die, don't they? Does it make it easy to see how many I have? That's right, I have 3 groups of 2. Now, before I talk you through this one, I'd like you to have a go at writing what you think the equation will be. And does it matter where my equals sign go, or which side my product is? No, it doesn't matter. As long as they're on one side of the equals sign and the product is on the other, I know our equation will work. So give it a go. You might want to pause the video while you think about the factors and the product. Okay, so I had one of my factors of 3 because I have 3 groups. I had one of my factors as 2 because each of my group is worth 2. And I had my product as 6. I wrote my product here, but you could have written your product over here. You could have written 6 is equal to 3 times 2. You could have written product, factor, factor, and both are right. Ooh. Another one of my 2p coins has gone. I wonder if my purse has got a hole in. This time, well, I'm not going to tell you the factors, and I'm not going to tell you the product. Can you write me the equation? Well done. Did you notice both our factors are actually the same? We've got 2 groups of 2. 2 groups of 2 is equal to 4. 2, 4. Factor, factor, product. Go on, just put your finger on the product. Okay, put your finger on the factor that represents the number of groups. It's this one, isn't it? So that must mean that this factor represents the value of each group. Fantastic. You're working really hard today. Well done. Oh, definitely got to hold my purse. So how many groups do I have? Yeah, I've got 1 group. What is the value of my group though? Yeah, it's 2p. I know it's a 2p coin, and I've got a clue. It's my 2p purse. So what is my product? Wow, you knew that without even writing the equation. But you know what I'm going to ask you to do now? Could you write the equation for me? Fantastic. 1 times 2 is equal to 2. This is one of my factors, and this is one of my factors. Oh, but this product, it's the same as this factor. Oh, that's because I've only got 1 group of it. That's actually quite interesting. if you spotted it as well. Oh look, my 2p purse is empty. How many groups do I have? I've got no groups. I've got 0 groups of 2. I know that my group would have a value of 2 because I only put 2p coins in here. I wonder what my product would be and how I would write an equation to show this. Can you pause the video and just have a little go yourself? Okay, so my first number is the number of groups. This factor represents the number of groups, and I have 0 groups. This number, the number 2, is a factor, and it would represent the value of each group in my purse. We know it's my 2p purse, so it has a value of 2. But I'm just wondering, what would the product be? 0 times 2 equals something is the product of 0 times 2. How much money have I got altogether? What's that? My product is 0. Even though I've got a factor of 2. Oh yes, because I've got 0 groups of 2, so my product has to be 0. I've got no money left. I've got a little matching job for you to do now, and I would like you to match these pictures to these equations. I'm going to give you a little bit of time to do it yourself, and then we'll go through them together. So you might want to pause the video now. Okay, let's take the pictures one at a time. Let's start with the coins. Did you notice how many coins there are? That's right, there's 5. So 5 is a factor. And then we know the value of a 2p coin is the same as having 2 1pennies, and so it has a value of 2. So now I know both of my factors, 5 and 2. Now I probably could match it to my equation now, but I just want to make sure that I know the product's right. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Fantastic. I know what equation that one is. Can you point to it? Yeah, it's 5 times 2 equals 10. Factor, factor, product. Okay, let's look at the bicycles next. Oh, do you know what I noticed first? I noticed the value of each group. I can see the value of this group is 2. And then it was really easy to see the product of this group, the number of wheels altogether. It was 6. I could have counted them in ones, but I know that I'm working in 2s and that it's more efficient. So I counted to myself 2, 4, 6. And I noticed how many groups of 2 there was, because I need that last factor. 1 group of 2, 2 groups of 2, 3 groups of 2. So I've got my factors, 3 and 2, and I've got my product, 6. That gives me all the information I need to match it to my equations. Are you pointing to the right one for me? Fantastic. Now, I think I probably know which equation matches this picture, because I've only got one left. But I also know that my teachers like convincing. So, can you convince me that this picture goes with this equation? How would you do that? Ah, So you tell me that once again, like in our other pictures, a factor is 2, because shoes come in pairs, and pairs means 2. And then you'd tell me how many pairs of shoes I've got to find my other factor. 1 pair of shoes, 2 pairs of shoes, 3 pairs of shoes, 4 pairs of shoes, 5 pairs of shoes, 6 pairs of shoes, 7 pairs of shoes, 8 pairs of shoes. Oh, that's both of my factors, 8 and 2. It's definitely looking like it's going to match that equation at the top, but I'm just going to count in 2s to check that the product is actually 16. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. It does match. Well done if you got all them right, but also thanks for working through them with me. This time I have the equations, but I don't have any pictures to go with them. So that's one thing you're going to need to do. But just have a look at my question. Which of these does not represent groups of 2? Let me say it again. Which of these does not represent groups of 2? I think you're going to want to pause the video now and draw some pictures to prove your ideas. Think very carefully about the products and the factors, and then we'll go through them together. Okay, so we had the question, which of these does not represent groups of 2? And the first one I want to look at is 3 times 2 equals 6. So we have how many groups? That's right, 3. And what is in those groups? 2. Shall we draw it? Okay, so here's one group, here's the other group, and here's the third group. And in my groups, I have 2 apples in each one because my groups are of 2. And the product is 6. So does this one match a group of 2? Yeah, it does. So it's not the one we're looking for. We're still on the same question. Which of these does not represent groups of 2? But this time we're looking at 8 is the product of 4 times 2. What's different this time? Oh yes, the product has been put here at the start of our equation, but we're okay with that. So this time I have groups of 2. It does represent a group of 2, and I have 4 of them. So this time I could draw 4 bikes. Not very good at drawing bikes. But I know they represent bikes, and it does show groups of 2. I could even draw it as a bar model as well. I could have my product of 8. I've drawn that first because it comes first in my equation. I'll draw my bar underneath, the same size, and then I'll draw my 4 groups, and in each group I've got 2 and some sunshine. Still on the same question, we're looking at the third equation now, where we have 4 times 3 equals 12. And we're still thinking which of these does not represent groups of 2. So how many groups do we have? We have 4 groups. I'm going to try our bumper cars. There's its flag. And in each group we have 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, this does not represent a group of 2. It represents groups of 3. I think this one is our odd one out because it does not represent a group of 3. This is the last one in our problem, isn't it? And we were trying to find out which of these does not represent a group of 2. I've got 0 times 2 equals 2. Oh, how many groups do we have? We have 0 groups. And how many in each group? Well, in each group there's 2, but there's 0 of them. Can we draw it? We can't draw it because there are no groups. But if we could, we'd draw a group of 2. So this equation, it does represent groups of 2. There are just no groups of 2. Thank you for joining me today. You worked really, really hard, and I just have a little practice activity for you to have a go at before you join us next time. Now, Inigo, he started drawing some pairs of mittens to match this equation, but he hasn't quite finished it. What do we know by looking at the equation? We know the product and we know the 2 factors. What does he already have in his pictures? He already has some groups of 2. He's joined his mittens up with some string. I remember my mum doing that when I was little. And he's drawn 6 mittens, but not 6 groups of mittens, so he doesn't have the right product. I'd like you to finish the drawing. Have a go and share it with us before next time. Bye!